Good afternoon, students. This is the first of what I hope will be quite a few videos, and it has been prompted by a young man in Sydney who, enthralled by the idea that his hypermobility was not a handicap to him, and excited by the work that our institute has been doing into this area, has been asking me some rather wonderful questions and pushed me really into finding a way that I could answer questions for you. This has also led me to the idea that I might be able to speak to you about matters that are close to my heart, yoga matters, art matters, and various other things within the Institute that we work on from time to time. In the first instance, and in this my first video to you in a long while, I would like to talk to you about respect. One of the modules in our course has a question to do with respect, and I get a lot of answers from that question that I think are rather airy-fairy and don't really tell me if you understand the word at all. And having worked a lot with people in addictions and recovery, I know that not many have been taught it. Before you sit in front of a class, and before I sit in front of you, even in a video, I give thanks that you are there and I am here, able to speak to you, able to bring this message to you. It's not a small thing. In 50 years of teaching, I am still as excited by the opportunity that I have been given to be your teacher as I was on day one, perhaps even more. On day one, I didn't realize what I was getting into, and now I just want to keep on doing it more and more. But back to respect. For whatever reason, I go to church on Sundays. There's lots of things I don't agree with, but it is a very interesting group of people, and it reminds me of a spiritual heritage we all share. We may not always agree with each other, but we share a heritage of spiritual longing. I always take my shoes off before I go into church, in the same way as I take my shoes off when I come into yoga. And I do that because I think that the yoga room and the church also share a common heritage. They are all sacred. They are both or all sacred spaces. And we shouldn't walk into them as if it was just every day. In the yoga room, this is taken for granted. People may not understand why they're taking their shoes off, but they always do. Maybe they think that it's about getting the mud off or something like that, but it really isn't. It's about coming in front of the Buddha, or in church coming in front of or with God, and taking your shoes off. From the Christian point of view, this is emphasized when Moses sees the burning bush. I'm sure you all heard the story of the burning bush. In his part of the world, burning bushes occurred all the time. It was not unusual for a bush to burst into flame in the heat and dryness of those temperatures. I can't say it happened every day, I don't know, but it wasn't unusual. However, it was unusual when the bush didn't seem to be deteriorating in the flame. So Moses walked past the burning bush, and that registered in his mind, and he walked back. And he thought, unusual. The bush is burning, but it's not burning. And he turned to face the bush. And he took a step forward, and then he heard the voice of God. Now, I'm not asking you to believe this. I'm not asking anything at all. I'm just asking you to consider this as a story that's been handed down. And there's a lot of good things in it. He took that step forward, and the voice said, it spoke to him, not in his mind, it was a voice, and it told him to take off his shoes. He was in a holy place. So he had to turn, and then he had to take off his shoes because he was in a holy place. Now that place, yesterday he walked past it and it was not a holy place. Well, he didn't see it as holy. But today it had been brought to his attention to take off his shoes because it was a holy place. When I go to church, I'm not meeting God for the first time, and I don't hear voices mostly. But I definitely am entering a holy place, the same as when I enter the yoga room, when I stand in front of you lot. So what I encourage you to do with your yoga is to take off your shoes. See the super, not just the natural. See the miracles that are happening in front of you every day. Don't just let them slide past. See the God, or the happiness, however you see that, in everything that you do. Excuse me. Don't just wait for the sound of trumpets. My church's reaction to me taking off my shoes, because I'm the only one who does it, is to explain to visiting people, don't worry about her. You know, she's just an old hippie. One of the older members of the church came up to me when they noticed that I wasn't wearing shoes and said, I've noticed you don't wear shoes in the church. Why is this? I thought it's extraordinary that she'd been to church since she was a child and she didn't know the answer to that. But I said, well, for me, it's a mark of respect. And she said, are you implying that I have no respect? I said, I'm not implying anything at all. I am just doing it because I respect. How you say that, how you respond to God in this sacred space, that's up to you. But for me, it's an acknowledgement that God is with me. And God is with me especially in this house, which is designated to be the house of God, in the same way that a yoga room is the house of yoga. And my room is the resting place of my lineage. That's why registering and being a part of what we do is important. It's not just yoga. Yoga in today's world has just been totally wrecked, perverted into a fitness and beauty regime, an excuse to wear fancy lycra. It's not meant to be that. Yoga is a sacred text that can change your body, your mind, and your spirit. but only if you will let it change your body, your mind, and your spirit. If all you want is just to lose weight and look good in a pair of bathers, it can do that, but you're missing out. Yoga is a sacred science. Take your shoes off. Namaste.